There was a day when Rome did not fall, but something inside it broke. A day when the legions, once the most disciplined force the world had ever seen, hesitated. When soldiers who once marched like iron began to move like sand. Rome didn't lose to an enemy. Rome lost to itself. Tonight, let me take you to the moment the world's greatest army began to decay quietly, slowly, and fatally. Because before an empire falls, its discipline fades. And before a nation collapses, hits Bipoldo. Rome did not rise because it had the strongest soldiers. Rome rose because it had the most disciplined ones. Their strength wasn't in their muscles, but in their mindset. A Rome legionary trained every day, marched every day, and obeyed every day. A single command from a centurion could make 10,000 men move as one. There was a saying, a Roman soldier fears his commander more than his enemy. But discipline is fragile. It lives in the quiet places of the mind, and it can crumble without a sound. And one day, it did. For centuries, Roman discipline was legendary. Legionaries woke before sunrise. They trained until their bodies burned. They built roads, forts, walls, and bridges not just for victory, but because routine made them unbreakable. Everything was measured. How they marched, how they ate, how they carried their shields, even how far apart their footsteps landed. A Roman soldier could march 30 kilometers a day, in full armor, carrying 40 kilograms of gear, and still be ready to fight at sunset. Their discipline was so terrifying that entire kingdoms would surrender without a single battle. But discipline is only strong when people believe in the system behind it. And slowly, Romans stopped believing. Rome became rich. Too rich. The empire stretched from Scotland to Egypt. Gold, slaves, spices, and silk poured into the capital like a river. And when comfort enters a society, discipline begins to leak out of it, like water from a cracked jar. Soldiers, once hardened by hunger and marshes, were now stationed in peaceful provinces. No battles, no danger. Too much time, the sons of soldiers grew up drinking wine, not training with shields. Fathers who once taught their boys how to fight now taught them how to enjoy life. Rome didn't notice, but its very backbone was softening. The Roman commanders saw it first. They noticed soldiers growing slower, lazy, disobedient, arriving late to drills, skipping training altogether, complaining about their rations. They started asking for shorter marches and permission to carry less weight. Petitions replaced discipline. Comfort replaced duty. One historian wrote, the soldiers had forgotten they were soldiers, and instead of fixing the problem, the emperors made it worse. They reduced training to keep the troops happy. They increased pay to avoid rebellion. They let soldiers choose easier assignments and assigned them to guard wealthy cities so they could enjoy life. Rome didn't lose the fight. Rome lost the routine. And then it happened. A rebellion rose in the north. Nothing Husium had crushed far worse. A legion marched to confront the rebels. But this time something was different. The march was slow. Soldiers complained about the cold. They refused to build defensive trenches. They demanded extra rest. Their formations were sloppy. Their shields were not aligned. Their morale was low. When the rebels attacked, the Roman line was impossible to break. Something that hadn't happened in centuries. Some soldiers retreated. Some fled. The commanders were shocked. Rome was shocked. The greatest army on earth had become ordinary. Discipline didn't break on the battlefield. It had broken years earlier in quiet rooms, peaceful cities, warm baths, and comfortable barracks. After that day, the empire changed forever. Because once discipline dies, everything dies with it. Loyalty, courage, unity, identity. Rome began hiring mercenaries to fill its ranksmen, who fought not for Rome, but for gold. The legions that once conquered the world now hid behind walls, afraid to face the very enemies they once crushed. The fall of Rome did not begin with an invasion. It began when discipline died. Empires fall the same way people do, not because of a single disaster, but because of a slow, silent erosion of discipline. You lose your discipline long before you lose the battle. You lose your routines long before you lose your strength. You lose yourself long before the world defeats you. Rome whispers a warning across 2,000 years. If you stop training, comfort will conquer you. If you stop disciplining your mind, chaos will rule it. And if you stop living as the person you hope to become, you will slowly become someone else entirely. Discipline is not a cage. It is the final shield you have. Rome lost that shield and with it, the world it once ruled. And now, I want to ask you something. What do you think was the first true sign that Rome had lost its discipline. Share your thoughts below. I read every single comment, and your reflections keep history alive. Thanks for watching.